Aged Zinfandel. Aged Zinfandel. Aged Zinfandel. Did somebody say aged Zinfandel? Aged Zinfandel. Who the heck ages Zinfandel? Wine and Whiskey with Steve. We age Zinfandel. We age everything. I said this in other episodes. I always cringe. I'm skeptical when it comes to California wines. I'm scared of the oak monster. Oak monster, vanilla, cloves. Oh, too sweet. I hate the oak monster. I'm gonna pour the new guy first, and then we'll pour the old guy. We'll take a look at the color. We'll nose them. We'll taste them, and we'll see if that time spent in the bottle has done the Zinfandel well, or I just wasted time and wasted a bottle of wine. Oh well, what can you do? I wasted a bottle of wine and waste 10 years of my life. Welcome to Wine Whiskey with Steve. It is Wine Wednesday and I have a nice block of Manchego downstairs that I'm waiting for. But I don't have much of anything else. Not much other time to cook today, so I'm relying on that block of Manchego. And yeah, it's Wednesday. I don't want to crack open any bottles, but I do want to have a little bit of wine with my Manchego. And today I want to see how Zinfandel pairs with Manchego. And more importantly, or more interestingly, I want to see how aged Zinfandel pairs with Manchego. So in front of us today, we have a 2018 Ghost Pines. Now, these aren't any expensive wines, okay? These are very, very, very entry level, very, very accessible Zinfandels. This guy here, this Ghost Pines, 25 bucks, on sale for 20 bucks. Okay, 2018. And then I have this guy. This is a 2011 Zinfandel. Okay, so I probably bought this guy back in 2013-ish or so. Okay, we're 2022 now, so that's almost 10 years we've had this guy. So we're gonna do a little comparison and see how he has changed over time. How has the color changed? How has the taste changed? Okay, so a small little vertical tasting within the Ghost Pines family with the Zinfandel grape. Now a little bit about Zinfandel. So obviously this isn't a blind tasting. So Maestro is giving me the day off today because tomorrow we're prepping for a 10K run. So cleanse the blood, cleanse the liver, cleanse the kidneys. Get them nice and healthy for the run tomorrow, so I'm not panting for the entire 10K. Anyways, so Zinfandel. What are we looking at with Zinfandel, the grape? So Zinfandel is a very interesting grape. It's actually quite a small grape, and the name Zinfandel actually comes from Italy. So shout out to our Italian friends for naming it Primitivo. Okay, Primitivo. So they brought Primitivo back to the U.S. sometime around the 1800s or so. Okay, planted it, and now it's resulted in the oldest vines in North America. Okay, so they have vines going up to 120, 130 year old. Like, these are really, really, really gnarly vines. I'll post a photo of them over there so you can take a look at what the gnarly vines look like. Big, thick, twisted. Okay, 120 plus years. Yeah, so Primitivo, what the heck does that mean? Primitivo means first to ripen, or early ripening grape. The Zinfandel grape is one of the first grapes to ripen in the harvest. And why that happens, though, is because of the thin-skinned grape that it is. It's not a thick-skinned grape like Cabernet Sauvignon. It's not thick-skinned like Petit Syrah or a Petit Verdot. Okay, it's actually quite thin-skinned, but it's a small grape. Okay, so it's kind of thin-skinned and it's small, so it allows it to dry out very quickly and it allows it to ripen quickly. But also an interesting thing with the Zinfandel grape, because it is so small, when it's in its bushel or its cluster, it can get kind of hidden by all of the other grapes, and some grapes don't ripen as quickly as other grapes. Some grapes ripen more and they become dried, so you get a whole bunch of different types of different stages of ripening in the grape. So that can cause high residual sugars. Sometimes it can cause high acids. Sometimes it can cause high tannins, right? So you can have very, very different wine coming from your Zinfandel based on the climate and the terroir. Okay, now this guy here is coming from California. More specifically, in the 2018, we have 70% of the grapes are coming from, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation on this guy here, San Joaquin. I'm sure our South American viewers out there can give us some help with that in the comments below. Tell me how bad I am. Tell me how much I've butchered it. Okay, but it does come from Lodi. Okay, so the AVA Lodi, 70% from Lodi, and then we have 30% from Sonoma, and more specifically Dry Creek. Okay, so the Dry Creek Valley, the Dry Creek AVA. The average age of vines over there, you're looking at about 50 years old. Okay, so we're looking at some old vines for these Zinfandel grapes. Now over here in this guy, similar. Okay, 67% and 33%. But flipped. Ooh, look at that. The Dry Creek Sonoma, almost 70%. Okay, so 67%, and from Lodi, 33. Interesting. Dry Creek has more prestige as an appellation over Lodi. So again, cost-cutting measures, right? Cost-cutting measures. Quality of grapes that went into the 2011, likely far more superior than the quality of the grapes that went into this guy over here. Wow, that's crazy. Totally mirrored each other. So what's that going to do now to flavor in the glass? Wow, everyone's cutting corners. Everyone is cutting corners. Damn. Let's hope that's the cork is still natural cork from 2011 up to 2018, or else our Coravin system here is going to be useless. If this is not cork, then this guy's he's gonna bleed right out when we puncture him, because the synthetic plastic cork won't reseal itself naturally as the natural fibers in cork will. Okay, before we get into accessing the wine from these precious bottles here, I had a few emails with regard to the last Wine Wednesday episode, and there's a little bit of confusion in terms of what this tool is actually doing to the bottles of wine. Okay, this tool is not an aerator. This tool is a wine preservation tool. Okay, so again, the Coravin, what is happening with this guy over here is that inside we have some argon gas. It's an inert gas, and it has a needle over here. So what we're doing is we're taking this needle, we're going to puncture the foil, puncture the cork. The needle is going to be in the bottle of wine. When I click this button here, gas is going to go into the bottle. As the gas goes in, physics is going to cause a displacement, and the liquid that's in the bottle, because there's not enough space in there anymore, is going to be poured out of the nozzle here into the glass. Okay, when we remove the needle, argon gas is going to sit like a nice comforter, like a nice blanket over the wine, and it's going to protect the wine from being exposed to any oxygen molecules. Okay, so then you don't have any reduction of the wine. So without further ado, okay, we're gonna pour the new guy first, and then we'll pour the old guy. We'll take a look at the color, we'll nose them, we'll taste them, and we'll see if that time spent in the bottle has done the Zinfandel well, or I just wasted time and wasted a bottle of wine. Oh well, what can you do? I wasted a bottle of wine and waste 10 years of my life. Crazy. Okay, here we go. So this guy over here, you can see the label of him, so we'll put him in. So first, again, using my vintage pour needle, so the pour on here is going to be a little slow as it goes into the glass because I'm still waiting for Coravin to send me a nice fast pour needle. Please. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I'm not covering my entire face and everyone can see what's happening. Okay, here I'm going to do a little quick press on this guy. And what that's going to do is it's going to purge the system of any air or any water that's left inside the needle, okay, because we don't want that going into the wine. Right now the needle is inside the bottle, okay, it's gone through the foil, it's gone through the cork, and it's touching the wine. So I'm just going to tilt like this, and as I click down here, Okay, argon gas goes into the bottle and displaces the wine into the glass. So that's 2 pumps. So each one of these gas canisters that's in there can do about 130 to 140 pumps, which is about an ounce per pump. Okay, so you're looking at over 5 bottles of wine that can be accessed with just one canister of the argon gas. Okay, which goes for about $5 when it's on sale, and it's actually on sale right now. Okay, regular price you're maybe looking at about $10. Okay, and I think that's good enough. That's all I need for this guy. Okay, so what was that? Maybe 4 or 5 pumps. Okay, and I'm just gonna pull up. Okay, comes out nice and easy, and that's it. Okay, I'm gonna give my guy a little blow here to get rid of any of the residual wine that's left in the needle. Okay. Also, I'm doing this, I'm listening to the sound as the air travels from the spout to the needle to make sure that I have a clear passageway, to make sure that there's no cork sediment that's stuck in the needle, because that can obstruct the flow of the wine. And if you're obstructing the flow of the wine and you're still putting gas into the bottle, you're not getting the value out of your Coravin, right? So you want to make sure you always have a clear passageway from your spout to your needle. Once you put the bottle on its side, within 5 minutes or so, the cork is going to reseal itself. Okay, and now we have a protective layer of argon gas. Oxygen is not going to interfere and react with the wine, so this guy is good to stay for a year. No problems, no oxidation, no discoloration. Structurally will stay intact. Okay, so now we'll do the same with this guy, and then we'll do a side-by-side comparison, and we'll take a look at what time has done to the wine. Okay, so this guy again, 2011, right? What were we doing back in 2011? I love doing verticals. I love going back in time with wine because it takes you on a road trip, right? Talk about all the things that you did in 2011, all the good times and bad times. I'm not going to embarrass myself anymore on YouTube about reminiscing about the good old days when you had more lean body mass and you had less grays in the hair and all that stuff, right? Already you can see the color is quite different. It's a lot more transparent. It's a lot more pale, which is natural, right? Okay, here we go. So I'm excited. We have the precious liquids in the glass. Over here, 2011. Over here, 2018. Okay, so we're in 2022 right now. This guy's 2011, so this is a nice 11-year-old Zinfandel versus this guy over here, 2018, right? So 4-year-old. So based on the color here, there's a big difference. This guy over here, I'll post it over here, or I'll post it over here, wherever I end up posting it for you guys. You can see he has some brick and ambering toward the rim, and even in terms of his transparency and translucency is a lot paler. Now if we compare with this guy here, okay, here we have a little bit more purple. Okay, yeah, so completely different. Okay, completely different. So before we get into nosing and tasting, I just wanted to take one of these bottles and read what's on the back of them. And surprisingly, I'm looking at the back, right, and they're identical. So the back of the label hasn't changed whatsoever, but the contents inside have changed. They've mirrored each other, right? The complete inverse of each other. So this guy again has more dry creek, 70% dry creek, versus this guy 70% loady. Okay, so going back to 2011, what did they say on the back of the bottle, which is what they say today. So in 1964, Louis Martini, son of Napa pioneer Louis M. Martini, purchased 178 acres of the land of the eastern hills of Napa Valley. The Martini family developed this land into a vineyard, which they named Ghost Pines as tribute to the native gray pines, which at dusk appear to hover solitarily and ghost-like throughout the coastal valleys. Ghost Pines Zinfandel draws from simple wine growing counties to create a wine that is unique as the Ghost Pines itself. So listen to the tasting notes on this guy. So they're saying strawberry jam, ripe plum flavors mingle with aromas of vanilla bean, mocha, which are then balanced by rich and chewy tannins that lead to a long and supple finish. Okay, and that's identical for both of them. So we'll see how that description holds up to our recent 2018 and or 2011. Now, in terms of how these were made, they see about 6 months of a mixture of French and American oak. Okay, it is almost 100% Zinfandel. It's 99 or 99.5. They may put a splash of Petit Syrah for whatever reason. I don't know really how much that's going to affect color or give any structure to the wine. But on the label, they do say 100% Zinfandel with a splash of Petit Syrah. I don't know if they, if it's identical for both of them, but they both say 100% Zinfandel. Anyways, okay, we're not going to nitpick on this guy. This is 100% Zinfandel. When it comes to trying wines like this, vertical, I don't like trying the new vintages first. Okay, the reason being is that the ripeness of fruit, especially when we're looking at the Zinfandel here, being very jammy. Okay, I don't want that to overpower the delicate nuances of how this guy has evolved. So when it comes to having verticals in aged wines, I like to go with the older wines first and then the younger ones last. Okay, so saving the best for last doesn't really apply in this case. Okay, because we always hope for the aged wine to be the better wine, right? But again, the young wine here could overpower the palates, take over. So that's why we're going to start off with the old guy. Okay, so on the nose, we'll see what's 11 years of waiting will do to a Zinfandel. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick nosing on the old and the new and see how they compare. So on the old guy, you get a little bit of like a dried strawberry. There's this hint of, believe it or not, it's going to sound crazy, but there's a hint of orange, okay, like orange rind, bitter orange. There's a slight cedar components and slight mushroom to him. Not your typical Zinfandel aromas. Okay, so I'm curious. I want to see what this new guy is smelling like. So, wow, very different, very different. So right away, black raspberry, a little bit of boysenberry, very ripe fruits jumping out of the glass. Vanilla, a little bit of smoke. Okay, now this is your classic brambly, I'm not going to say jammy Zinfandel, okay? He smells pretty imbalanced, but I mean, we don't know until we hit the palate, right? But yeah, so you get your dark fruits, your your black raspberry, and a little bit of that boysenberry. You get your vanilla and you get your smoke. Okay, so now let's go in for a taste of Mr. 2011. Goosebumps. And the window's not open. The window's not open. Goosebumps. That's awesome. That's phenomenal. And that's very different. I can't even call that Zinfandel anymore. I can't, it's nothing that associates with what Zinfandel should be tasting like. That's nuts. That's really nuts. Right now I got to transfer all of those sensations into some type of description of what I just experienced in my mouth. I wasn't expecting that much flavor. First off, what I noticed was the acidity. It still has acidity. It has structure. And it's not jammy in any way whatsoever. This is going to be very difficult to describe. It is like, so we have this dried strawberry that is there, but there is this mocha coffee flavor that has developed. So you have this nice sweetness from the dried strawberry, but then you also have this savory mocha coffee chocolate like bitterness. It's really hard to compare this to anything. In my head, what I'm thinking of is something like a cherry cola. okay? But it's not ripe cherry. And like in the cherry cola, you get that bitterness from the caffeine in there. So you get that, that bitter cocoa coffeeness on the end of this, but it's like it's intermingled with the sweetness of the strawberry. This is mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing, really, that you can have that much change in flavor from what a Zinfandel typically tastes like. And this is only a $25 Zinfandel, for God's sakes. It's not expensive at all. Lucky, we have a good, 5 or 6 bottles of this downstairs. I'm not sure if we have anything going back further, maybe 2009 vintage. I think 2011 is as old as it gets for us with this guy. Chocolate, coffee, ganache. I don't know. Awesome. Okay, so really happy with how this turned out. Thank God he's not spoiled. He's got all the structural integrity that a good wine should have. Good acidity, resolved tannins. And what's so beautiful is that I'm not getting any vanilla. No vanilla whatsoever. Wow. Yeah, not even like, my God, like maybe even cedar. It's crazy. That's crazy. Wow. Okay. So let's dive into Mr. 2018. Okay, so 4 years in the bottle now. Let's see what we're picking up on this. Vanilla. Actually, okay, I can't say vanilla first. I mean, so the black raspberry. I don't want to make it sound like this is a vanilla bomb, okay? So you get your ripe fruits and black raspberry, boysenberry, smoke, cedar, vanilla, okay, on the palate. I'm surprised. This is a very well-balanced Zinfandel. This is not jammy. This is not overly ripe. This is not overly oaked. It's very hard, like... I said this in other episodes, I always cringe. I'm skeptical when it comes to California wines. I'm scared of the oak monster, oak monster, vanilla, cloves, oh, too sweet. I hate the oak monster. But no oak monster here, or he's been scared away, whatever it is. This is so well balanced. Again, the nice acidity in Zinfandel. I can see how that evolution has taken place. So, because you're picking up on, you have that the vanilla and the smoke from the American and the French oak, over time have turned into this mocha chocolate coffee. The fruits of the black raspberry and the boysenberry have turned into a dried strawberry. Okay, I do not pick up on what they say here for their aromas of strawberry and ripe plum in this. This is nothing of strawberry, nothing of plum. You do get your vanilla. Okay, you can have a little bit of mocha, smoky happening in it, but that mocha coffeeness really comes through after a number of years in the bottle. Okay, this is an awesome experiment. I encourage you guys out there, if you have any room in the house and you have the patience, you have some years ahead of you. This is a very simple experiment that anyone can do. But yeah, it just takes time, it takes discipline, and that's what we've done with our cellar down there. Every single wine that we have, we don't buy aged wines. We do all of that work in-house. Yeah, it takes time, but you save a lot of money as well, right? So whether you're doing Grand Cru Class A, let's say you're paying $105 for I will say the La Croix de Cru Beaucaillou, right? So $105, 2016 vintage, okay? That bottle, you put them down 20 years as opposed to buying a 20-year-old bottle for $400, $500. You save money down the road, right? Yeah, you have to wait a bit, but that's the fun, right? That's the science experiment behind it, the anticipation, and when you mature these wines, or when you cellar these wines, you age them yourself. There's an increased satisfaction that comes with it, right? I don't want to say it's like equivalent, I'm going to repeat myself. I don't want to say this is the equivalent to raising a child. Okay, it's not. But it is something that you are nurturing, okay? You are helping in the evolution. So, there's a little bit of satisfaction and pride that comes to tasting wine that that you have aged. Same as when you make your own wine, right? But as we've also experimented with a couple of years ago, maybe we'll do an episode on that as well. That'll be interesting. But again, yeah. So yeah, I encourage you. If you have room in the house, there's a couple of wines that you like. You have a go-to wine. Well, buy a case of that go-to wine and just put it somewhere where you'll never see it, okay? And you won't think about it for a decade. And then visit that wine, right? And see how much it's changed, and see how much you can appreciate what age can do to a bottle of wine. So one of the beautiful things now that we did with this experiment here, okay, and this may blow your mind as well, I don't know, it kind of blows my mind, how these wines were stored. Okay, so we have, I don't know, for us and our house size, our cellar, it's 2,500 to 3,000 bottles. Okay, so we have an area in the house that's temperature controlled, but then we have an area, just the basement, and that's where this Zinfandel was. Okay, I don't have enough room to have him temperature controlled, humidity controlled, so this guy was just in the basement. Okay, out of the sun, and he fluctuated with random temperatures that we go through the seasons, right? Anywhere from 10 degrees up to 20 degrees. So even through those temperature fluctuations, okay, he was still able to evolve. Now, can this guy go for another 20 years? I don't know, but whatever, I'll have bottles down there in 20 years from now. Maybe we'll have 50 subscribers by then, and we'll do an episode and see how he's looking at that time. But all joking aside, you do not need a dedicated wine cellar to age wine. Okay, as long as you can keep the wine away from any rapid temperature changes. Okay, allow the wine to change temperature with the seasons. Okay, gradually over time. And keep them out of sun, then you're good. Okay, you'd be surprised how really, I won't say hardy, but how durable and stable wines can be. Okay, if you keep it away from rapid temperature changes. Okay, now obviously your more pricier bottles, we have those under temperature control, humidity control, and those guys don't see any light whatsoever. But yeah, don't feel the pressure to build a wine cellar to age a wine like this, right? Just put them in your basement box, put them in a corner. Make sure you keep them horizontal. Okay, don't store any wines that you have vertical. Cork will dry out, and the wine will oxidize. Simple. Okay, but you keep them on the side, and you're good to go. Okay, now which is another tip with this Coravin. Okay, make sure all your wines that you Coravin you keep on their side. And when you do not have liquid in contact with the cork, okay, when you see liquid just at the belly of the wine, and when you don't have any liquid in the neck, you know that that's time to pull the cork on that wine, okay, because the cork won't be moist anymore, and the oxygen will enter, and then you'll have oxidation of the wine, okay, so you don't want that. So keep that in mind when you are experimenting with your Coravin. So the question of the day was, can you age Zinfandel? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And it is phenomenal. It is phenomenal. So I'm going to say thank you and shout out again to Coravin for allowing us to access these two bottles on a Wine Wednesday. And one of the nice things about this is that, these guys aren't spoiled, right? So I can have friends over, I can have family over, and I can say, hey, have you tried an old Zinfandel, right? And we can pour a glass of this, compare it to the new one, right? And you can do that multiple times, right? So you get to relive the experience in the glass with this Coravin tool, okay? And again, I've bought this back in 2011, 2012-ish, had them for over 10 years, Model 1, durable, sustainable, it's probably gonna outlive me. What can you do? Anyway, so thank you. Now we're ending on a bitter note. The Coravin's going to outlive me. Oh boy, at least I have some value in the glass in front of me. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And again, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, no pressure. Have you tried aged Zinfandel before? What's the oldest Zinfandel you've tried? Okay, Have you tried Coravin before? Are you thinking about maybe making a purchase of the Coravin? Okay, a couple $100, worth the investment. It'll save you lots of money in your wine consumption for sure. So, I'll leave you with value in a glass, folks. Cheers. And please always tell me.